the first physicist to evolve what the theory that we now call the Big Bang was a Roman Catholic at the University of Louvain in Belgium. I can't. Anyway, he went to Rome to say, I think this is how everything began. I think this is what Genesis was, in fact. And the Pope looked at it, Pope Leo, I believe, and said, well, if you like, I'll make it obligatory for all Catholics to believe that. Now, there I think you can see the difference in methodological approach, could I put it like that? But there is a serious question to be posed, and I'll pose it to the audience as well as to my interlocutors. Isn't it the case that religion has as its main advantage the fact that it came first? In other words, we are, which is why we designed so many gods. H.L. Mencken counted, I think, 120,000 of them at one point. We are pattern-seeking mammals. We do look for explanations. We look for patterns. Our minds are designed to look for them. If you look for them, seek, and ye shall find. I used to think it was the most sinister thing in the religious education I was given. Of course, if you're looking for it and you want it badly enough, you'll find it. But if we knew what we now know, would we ever have become religious? Perhaps I could put it like that. Can I give you an example? We now know roughly the age of our species. The age of Homo sapiens. Some people say it's 250,000 years. Some people say it could be as little as 100,000. I don't particularly mind. Francis Collins of the Human Genome Project thinks maybe a quarter. Dawkins thinks it could be as little as 150. I'll take 100,000. 100,000 years of Homo sapiens, born into struggle, suffering, misery, uncertainty, fear, not knowing where earthquakes come from, not knowing where hailstorms come from, not knowing where eclipses come, knowing nothing. Dying in their 20s if they were lucky, probably of their teeth. Most of their children dying in childbirth. Gradually struggling through this, not to say fights with other tribes and neighbors and so on. According to the National Geographic's founder of the other genome project you can send in and have your own done, we were once, as a species, down to about 2,000 people in Africa. In other words, we nearly went the way of 99.9% of all species that have ever existed on the Earth by becoming extinct. Some designer, okay? 100,000 years of that slow improvement, here and there, also falling back at times. And heaven watches this with folded arms, with complete indifference, until about 4,000 years ago, when it decides it's time to intervene now. And probably the best way would be by organizing some human sacrifices in the most backward and barbarous parts of the Middle East. It's not impossible to believe that. It's not impossible to believe that. I personally don't, I must say.
If you stay at the level of religion, I have no disagreement with you whatsoever. Okay? That is to say, all things being equal, I am in full sympathy with the, although perhaps a little bit too, I don't want to use it's not as simple as that, but it is true. The way you put it is true. In fact, the question that I like is where would be, if we had known what we know now, would we have begun with religion? I would not. But the fact is that I know what is known now and have no reason to contest it, and yet it doesn't, it cannot account for all of how I face life. That again, I must say, it is the link between what I believe in, the what or maybe the who, and what makes sense in my life. And I want the science and the scientific community and the scientists that I know and people like you. You know, I listen and read to you with the open mind of wanting to be taught. If you convince me, then I hope to have the honest obligation, the honest response of saying, okay, that's it. I don't need any more to postulate anything else. But I find I cannot do that at all, and I cannot do it. But I'm willing to do this struggle every day, and I hope that it is a reasonable one, and that I can convince you that what I am doing is not ridiculous; it is reasonable. Beyond that, I have nothing more to say. I mean it. I read what you just said. It's in the book here. Of course, I read that, and I read your book. And I've been an admirer of Mr. Hitchens before. First of all, the English wit. So, I mean, it's great. They produce people like this. So, and I love it. I'm a Puerto Rican Monsignor, for God's sake. I mean, my ancestors were worshiping coconuts.
Wonderful.